welcome back to the most exciting time of the year on the Film Alchemist. The first entry in our 31-day October mega marathon. We, of course, are the podcast that takes the movies we love, breaks them apart, to find out what gives them their magic. Dirty, goopy sex magic. I'm your host, Josh Griffey, joined as always by my friend, co-host, and guy who really needs a cleaner mattress.
Alex Dandino.
All right,
that got me.
Before we just leap off the edge into the infinite dark abyss of the October Horror Mega Marathon, a little business, people. It's official. We're on Patreon. That's right, patreon.com/FilmAlchemistPod. If you guys like the show, and we hope you do, we would appreciate if you can come over to Patreon and join the club. Support the show. It's the best way to support the show. It's the best way to make the show exactly what you want it to be. So our patrons actually got to vote on three of the movies this month are from Patreon. We have some exclusives, right? Our patrons will be selecting 2 exclusive episodes. So if you want to have the full 31 days, right? We also have our feature-length commentary that this month, very excitingly, will be 13 Ghosts. So we have so much awesome shit this month in particular. The best time of the year to join up over on Patreon. We thank you so much, those of you who do. Thank you for those of you who are about to as well. The YouTube, subscribe, Film Alchemist. The email, filmalchemistpod@gmail.com. We're on all the socials you're on. We would appreciate if you guys would toss us a follow and go ahead and share what we're doing over there, man. We want to get as many people into the Mega Marathon as possible every year. All right. Enough of that business. For those of you who are fans of the show, we like to start our October off every year. We deep dive some franchises, right? So now that we're here in October, we are beginning our deep dive into the Hellraiser franchise. The second franchise we'll be covering in totality right after will be Wishmaster. So for those of you who follow the show, you will know that a patron, as a birthday gift to yours truly, asked us to do a double feature of 2 of my favorite movies ever, right? The Wobbly H double feature, Highlander and Hellraiser. So if you want to go back and hear the real start of this franchise deep dive, that is on our catalog already. We talked about Hellraiser. Today, we are beginning with Hellraiser 2, Hellbound, or Hellbound Hellraiser 2, actually. They're getting
Hellraiser 2. Yeah.
Real flippant with the franchise.
Real chintzy with the titles here.
This movie fucking rules. This is an amazing horror movie sequel. I think if not for one tragic decision this movie made, I think there's a real case that this could have been a better movie than Hellraiser 1. This is the great sequel that not only builds upon what the first one does, it really finds its own vibe, really explores the world of the franchise in a really fun way. And again, as we'll get into later, I think there is a little weak point, a little exposed nipple that a hook can get in and kind of keep it just from being better than Hellraiser 1. But a fantastic sequel, nonetheless, to start off our 31 days, 31 pods, October Horror Mega Marathon. So, Alex, why don't you kick us off with your opening thoughts on Hellbound Hellraiser 2?
Yeah, other than the first Hellraiser, I have never ventured to watch the others.
Oh, you in for some traits.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like, it's one of those things where I'm like, this feels like... Actually, and it's funny, like, I realized, too, I didn't think about this before, but choosing this and Wishmaster, it's like, man, we got a real trinkets theme going for October this year.
Don't touch old trinkets.
Don't touch old trinkets, guys. Leave them alone. Literally, I was watching, I think I was in the middle of watching number 4, and I was like, hey, wait a second. Because we watched, like, I think I watched 3 today, and I was just like,
it would make for a fantastic crossover movie, right? The fucking Wishmaster versus Hellraiser. Anywho.
I watched 2. Yeah, so I watched 2 through 4 today, and I was just like, boy, we have a real trinket thing going on this year. I really enjoyed it, actually. I thought, I mean, again, I do have my own picadillos, I think. I like movies that do this is the kind of thing that does. I thought I'd be a little pissed to have like an explanation of some of these Cenobiteness. But I wasn't. I actually liked it a lot. I thought it was kind of interesting. Again, we're just, we're opening a puzzle box and going in and seeing what kinds of delights the flesh will bring. Man, people are terrible. Like, I think that's really like what's going on, and this is the thing that keeps coming back with the Hellraiser movies. So I'm just like, what's the matter with people? Like, just let your freak flag fly. Like, put your shit out on Front Street.
You don't have a bonatorium in your house? That's strange on you.
I mean,
you old fucking prude.
It's such a strange thing. But yeah, Hellbound is Hellbound's like, it's not an exact duplicate, obviously.
No,
but I
not
do
even
like,
close, actually, yeah.
But because like we'll get into that in others. But what I do love is that Hellbound does the thing sequels need to do, which is address what's happened in the previous movie and not just go, well, glad that's over. Next story. Like, I like that we're kind of like continuing the story.
This is actually where I want to start, though, because I think one of the things we have to address right up front with Hellbound, right? Mm-hmm. It's such a weird mix to me, because I like that the movie, and this is something that, nowadays is very commonplace to all of us, right? Fucking bickering about canon and franchises and whatever. So the movie starts with our intro to Human Pinhead, right? We'll talk about that a little later.
Right.
But what that even does, right, is it shows us a different way that the box is affecting the world. Mm-hmm. When Human Pinhead, right, this fucking, doofus-looking sales dork or whatever, right? I know he's a soldier,
he's a military
officer. A soldier, but he looks like a guy who's like, hey, I'm from True Greens. I just saw bugs in your tree. It's like, get the fuck out of here.
I mean, he's a military officer sitting in the middle of a room by himself. Yeah. I'm like, clearly this guy
looks like a doofus, right? He looks like when you're like, no solicitation, you slam the door on his face. He goes to his vantage, just tweaking his nipples. Neither here nor there.
I like how Pinhead is Willie Lomax all of a sudden.
Yeah. He's like, where are the fucking leads?
Death of the P-head.
Yeah. And it's like, hooks and the nips are for closers. Shut the fuck up. No, but he opens the box, right? And the box opens differently and affects the space around him differently, right?
Yeah.
It kind of opens, the hooks comes out, we see him get his fucking head or whatever. Mm-hmm. But just that, right? Even that is a moment that shows us that why were no Cenobites sent after him, right? So it makes us get this feeling that he was somehow important and became this, like, ultra powerful deity, right? He is no longer this eternal creature that you kind of assume in the first one, right? The angel to some, demon to others, right? But not only that, this movie starts with a flashback of all the stuff we just saw in part one, and then proceeds to not line those fucking stories up at all. For example, right? Julia's mattress, right? They're like, Julia died on the mattress. You gotta burn the mattress. She can come back. Okay, well, in the first one we saw, Frank came back. Frank didn't die in the fucking, philanderer's attic, right? Someone just bled there and he decided to come back, right? A place he had connection to, whatever.
Sure.
He comes back more in a skeletal form, like a primordial ooze, right? Julia comes back pretty fully formed. Mm-hmm. We saw in the first movie she didn't die on that fucking mattress. That was her dad who was on that mattress, right? We see the fucking footage from the first one. Just the whole layout of hell and, like, Julia coming back and she's like, now I work for these motherfuckers. I'm the evil queen of the fairy tale. So I would like to start with you here, because I love that this movie just goes its own way, right? I think sequels should not be afraid to go in a different direction. We've already seen the first story.
Agreed.
Why do you think they show so many flashbacks in this movie and so brazenly just break continuity?
I think the reason to do that is because, and again, I'm saying this as someone who watched 3 of these today. I actually feel like it is the setup for the times that we go back in other movies. Because here's the thing, if you don't have a precedent after the first movie to do that, doing it in, like, say, the 4th movie, which is a very interesting sort of time jumpy thing, if you don't have any sort of precedent for it, it doesn't make sense. I think from like a logistics perspective, I think this was 80s. I think this was the 80s still. Was Hellraiser 2 in the 80s?
I think so. I think part 3 was 92 or 94.
88. So. That's what it was. 88. Yeah. So we're still in the 80s, and there is that rationale for like, oh, maybe somebody didn't see the first one. So like from a logistics standpoint, it makes sense to like give you the 411. Now, breaking continuity, what I like to imagine is that because this one, while, you know, still bloody and still lots of cool gore and a lot of fun stuff, and I gotta tell you, like, the creature work in this, like, Julia's, like, body, so cool. Like,
I feel like the prosthetics and effects like took a big step up in this one. Yeah.
Yeah, like, the prosthetics of the bodies are just fucking unbelievable. Like, that is truly some cool shit.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that I liked, and the thing that I kind of latched onto, at least I assumed that this is what I was kind of trying to get at, was this psychic residue. That's how I'd probably put it. Like,
yes.
Julia's presence is so strong because of what she had been through. Not necessarily, like, you know, what she had tried to put herself through in the first round. Like, but that psychic residue is so strong that it lives and breathes in whatever it's touched, so to speak. At least that's how I'd put it.
Well, I just, like, even something, right? Like, we see a police officer bumbling around the house that in the last one, and in this one in flashback, we see collapsing, right? We saw a dragon come out of the ruins of that house. Right. Yet all of a sudden, the house is still there and standing, right? Mm-hmm. So it adds this level of, as Kirsty saying in the place, right? Some fairy tales come true.
Right.
And so then you start drawing this line at the start, right? Well, she's in the Kennard Institute. Mm-hmm. Did she fucking imagine some of this, right? So I think it kind of sets it in this fun place. And again, I think all the choices they made, barring one huge one, work so well. I'm not saying they shouldn't have changed it. I just think it's strange to show the flashback of, you know, Butterball getting crushed by a fucking door frame and then see Barney Fife fucking shooting Julia's, you know, fucking corpse warehouse up.
Right.
Neither here nor there, right? I think what you hit on is what I really love about this movie, right? Is kind of psychic residue, right? That even though you defeat the box, Kirsty clearly is still attached to this thing, right? She's receiving the message from hell, right? Help me, I'm in hell. Right. There's still a connection to this world. And what we see in the whole movie, right? Whether it's Julia or the doctor or his fucking doctor's assistant, who's just very fucking brazen in his planning. All these people, right? There is this idea at the core of this movie, right? That everyone is searching for something more, right? There needs to be something that makes all of this meaningful.
Sure.
And I like the introduction of this kind of labyrinth theme, right? And once anyone gets a whiff of this, right? Kyle, the fucking, you know, dipstick doctor number 2 is a great example, right?
Yeah.
When he sees that mattress come alive and eat that poor bastard, he should just be like, I quit and I'm going to go doctor a town over.
Right.
He cannot help himself. When Kirsty's like, I have to go. Again, she's also drawn back into this fight. Could easily just run away. She fucking cheated hell once. She won't run.
Right.
Right? She, under the guise of, I want to help my father. But really, I think this movie's constantly telling us, whether it's the doctors or her or whatever, once you get a taste, no matter how fucking scary it is, how could you possibly just go back to 9 to 5 in? And I think this movie explores it beautifully.
Yeah. I actually thought about that too while watching this one. It's almost like the lament configuration is curiosity incarnate. Like it's such like a strangely named piece of relic. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm just spitballing. I've only ever seen one of these, but to me, it's one of those things where like it's curiosity that never goes away. Like you've now seen this other side. And I think that's kind of like what's interesting about particularly movies like this. And I think that's what makes it's funny. My parents were here this weekend and my parents were in town this week. And, I told my dad, I was like, oh yeah, we're watching it. He's like, what are you guys doing for October? Because for some reason my parents do listen to the show. I don't like I think they've maybe seen like 4 of the movies that we've watched. But we watched, my mom was really into it. Donna D was really into watching In Search of Darkness, that Shudder documentary about horror films in the 80s.
Amazingly.
I was talking with my dad about Hellraiser. I was like, yeah, we're doing Hellraiser this year as one of the main curations, like one of the main feed ones. And he's like, how do you watch movies like that? And it doesn't just like take a little piece of your soul. And like I made some like flippant joke about like, listen, it's not about hell, all right? The name is a misnomer. These are just travelers.
It's about getting nut, Pat. It's about getting nut.
These are travelers on their way to ultimate pleasures.
They're explorers, Pat.
Right. So again,
they're just like Fievel. They're the exact same as Fievel.
This
just
is
a little more carnage.
Again, I think I've spoken about my parents plenty of times on this pod for everyone to know this is not my parents' type of flick. Right. But in talking to them, though, I thought more about this, and I'm like, it really isn't. Yeah, like there's this obvious like horror gore element to it. There is this like, I wouldn't say shade of torture porn because there is purpose to it, but there's parts of that kind of shit in there. But to me, the ultimate crux of the argument as to like why you would watch a Hellraiser movie, you know, because I get it, you know, my wife doesn't watch them with me. I watch them alone. Why would you watch it? Because it's the same reason these people keep coming back to the fucking puzzle box. There is ultimate curiosity of what's coming. Like you have no idea. Even if you've seen it before, it's curiosity.
And again, this one absolutely crushes the most important aspect of a good Hellraiser story, right?
Right.
There's that great scene when they get the puzzle girl, right? And she starts unlocking the box.
Yeah.
The Cenobites come in. It's awesome. Fucking, you know, the Doc and Julie are doing their weird, long, like, 1930s movie smooches behind the submarine window.
It's very
and
Fred
Pinhead
Astaire.
And the Cenobites come
weird.
out, and they just, you know, hands do not call us, desire does. Almost just saying, fuck the box. Yeah. The box is a fucking lighthouse in a storm drawing us in, but that the gateway to hell, we're the puzzle, right? There's that great
it's an interesting misnomer.
Yeah, well, they talk about, right, you know, oh, she has had so much chaos, she does the puzzles to put things in order.
Right.
And Kirsty goes, or to open doors, right? That the more you look for order and whatever, the more truthful you are at solving the puzzle of yourself, there's a gateway to, you know, ultimate pleasures, you know, pain to some, you know, divine to others, whatever. And this movie really does a wonderful job, again, of keeping it in that human darkness, right? The scariest scene in the movie by fucking country mile is when the doctor goes to the basement to pick out his victim. And we just watch these poor fucking bastards. And it's almost as if Chenard is going down and he is the Pinhead of his own little universe.
Totally.
Right? Like when we see him in the first surgery, there's like tendons splayed out. He's operating. The person's still awake.
Yeah.
That looks like when Pinhead hooks someone.
It looks
right?
like a straight up Pinhead situation.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and when he goes down and he just opens doors, and we're like, there are just human beings who something breaks in them, right? Whether it's mental, whatever, right? I don't understand the science of these things at all. Right. But you've seen and read about, you know, people who are just broken. And you watch that guy who's just, get them off of me all day, every day. All he thinks is that his body is being smothered by maggots and worms and whatever, and he can find no solace ever. He is in his own hell,
right? And
Chenard drags him out and gives him. And this is the fucking thing, right? Because Chenard is a great character at the start of the movie specifically, because he could just grab that dude, put him on the mattress, and put him out of his misery, right? With a nice throat slice.
Right.
He doesn't. He hands him a razor. And sits and watch what looks like a not, you know, steely resolve.
Right.
This man just have at himself because of this fairy tale he thinks might happen, and that extra, just fucking nefariousness seeps into every little corner of this movie, and that's why I think it's so good.
Yeah, I mean that to me is what makes. That's what makes curiosity is not a dangerous thing. I think that's like a really important thing about what we see in this movie particularly, because like it's like my favorite part of the movie is when Kirsty's sitting there and Pinhead's like, God damn it, we want your flesh. You can't ask any more questions. I'm sick and tired of this. You're delaying. Like, he literally,
oh my God, Kirsty, all you do is bicker. Ugh.
Oh my God, Kirsty, fucking put a cork in it. I know.
He just like elbows the other Cenobites.
We must
Like,
sample
I guess I
your
found my
fish.
hell. Yeah, this is
Like,
my hell, bartering with Kirsty.
I legitimately thought that was a really, really funny part of the movie. Like, I know it's not supposed to be, but it is hilarious that literally, like, Pinhead and these other guys are like, oh my God, this bitch again. Hey, listen, you've asked this question. You summoned us once. You said you didn't know what it was. You summoned us twice. You said, I didn't touch the box. And yet, here you
even
fucking
goes,
are.
he's like, if you fucking fool us again, your suffering will be legendary in hell.
Even in hell.
It makes sense because by the end of the movie, they're essentially telling us that Pinhead is just like the Dwight Schrute of hell. Right? He's just like another middle manager, right? He's not this like fucking hell priest.
He's the assistant to the regional manager, which is this
The
like
assistant
giant
too.
obelisk.
Yeah, and he's just like, oh God, Jim and his pranks. You know, oh, Kirsty, stop putting my hell stapler in
Kirsty,
jello.
quit putting my awesome whips and chains in jello.
He's just like, damn, I hate getting summoned.
It is this like, but I do like that, but I really do like that curiosity is not treated as this like curse. Because like a lot of the times in movies.
I do not agree with that though.
Really?
Okay, so who's the most curious in the movie? Chenard?
Pinhead?
Not good. Right? Pinhead? Not good. Fucking dipshit Kyle? Real not good. Really not good.
I'm not saying that they
Puzzle
are not.
Girl? Not good.
I'm not saying they're not good. I'm saying that what I think is interesting about Hellraiser as a franchise, but particularly this one, is that curiosity is not so much a curse as it is the way in which you open yourself up to things. Like, I like that ambivalence is what makes, I think, a movie like this, which can, as my father would say, put some sort of, doesn't it take a little piece of you? It's what makes it a little more tolerable if you do, if you have an issue with these kinds of things. If you're watching Hellraiser and you have any sort of like picadillos about that kind of thing, don't watch Hellraiser. Like, you're weird. But to me, what makes it not that and not like as quote unquote soul crushing, I'd say, is that the movies themselves are not about, they're not this like, when they say hell, like I do like the concept of like hell not necessarily being hell and that kind of thing. Like there's not this overarching Judeo-Christian notion of what it really is.
Oh yeah.
What I like is that there's much more science behind it in a way. Like it's not science, but it is this like method. It's the methodology you'd use to avoid like explaining the religion. You just say it is just what it is. It is a world beyond, and I think that's what makes the like latter half of this, like once the puzzle box is open and they go through, that's what makes a lot of the gags, like when they're going through, like again, I'm not used to these. I have not watched these movies before. I'm not going to lie to you. I rolled my eyes when I was like, Funhouse, fucking serious. Jesus, come on, guys. Like, we literally have a dude with we have a lady with her goddamn neck wide open, and all we're doing is a fucking Funhouse. I'm like, let's see what this is. And it works.
I think even that, though, right? Because Puzzle Girl goes in, and what is hell showing her? A reflection of her mother, like, please help this girl.
Absolutely.
It's so personalized, right? Then we get like a fucking clown and whatever, and you're like,
clown who's just
that the carnage that caused her the puzzle obsession that led her mom to get fucking murked by Chenard?
The first thing I saw was the juggler. I was like, that guy's only juggling two things. Oh, it's eyeballs. I'm dumb. Never mind. Got it.
So I don't know, like the dad we never meet got his eyes ripped out by the clown, or was the clown, and then she's like, you know what? Just give me 1,000-piece Thomas Kincaid. I'm out.
That was the literal thought I had when they showed that guy like who's just juggling the eyeballs. I was like, is this guy just juggling two balls? Could they not find an actual? Those are eyeballs, aren't they? Like, they are. Okay, great.
They're like, get over here, fucking PA. You're a juggling clown now. No,
that's all I thought.
But I think one of the best scenes in the movie, right, is when Kyle fucking breaks into the office and he just sees all of Chenard's shit and he just goes, weird. Fucking weird.
Fucking weird.
And I was like, because this was an uncurious man. This was a guy who knew what's up, and then he saw some shit. And all of a sudden now he can't run away. This is a guy who would run away, right? This is not a guy who's looking to dig much deeper. Now he's fucking caught, right? And this leads us to my personal favorite element of the movie, right? The same as the first one. The best part about this movie is Julia.
Yeah.
In seeing Julia reemerge, and again, her fucking writhing out of that fucking
so cool
mattress.
So fucking cool.
Awesome. And she eats the back of the guy's brains out.
Oh my God, dude.
But even just that couple moments of intro, right? Because this segment of the film has like this awesome kind of Bride of Frankenstein vibe, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
But there's just this wonderful kind of, she comes out, right? And she's like, don't be afraid of me. And she runs up, and immediately we see that Julia has transformed from this housewife who got the brakes beat off and is like, now I'm going to go down this path of evil, right? Now she is something so much more. And watching her control fucking Dr. Chenard, right? Like, as the chaos is going on in his fucking, like, dapper suit or whatever, he gets that one streak of blood on his face.
Right.
You can see that he's still fucking scared. He still does not know. He has that moment that I think is very natural, even for who's obviously a freaky boy, Dr. Chenard, right? And he just does the, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, right, like, he starts getting into this, and she's selling it. I'm cold. Let me smoke your cig, right? Let me, like, leave a little touch of blood on your fingers that he, like, wipes off, right? We see he's still kind of nervous. By the time she puts on that white suit, he's like, yes. That, by the way, costuming A+, right? That empty white space with, like, her handprint on the wall and her blood on the fucking white suit. It's just fucking marvelous.
Yeah.
Right? But once he wraps her, by the time he's wrapping her up, you can see now his face is like, I'm all the fucking way in.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that watching Julia come back and kind of reassert herself is just fucking wonderful. I do have to ask you, how the fuck did Dr. Chenard get that fucking meat locker full of attractive young ladies for Julia to drain in what couldn't have been more than 12 hours? Right? Kyle breaks in at like 8 at night, right, on his way home from work, sees Julia emerge. He goes back and gets Kirsty. Let's say they make it back by like noon the next day.
Right.
That's like 12 hours. When they cut up to that attic and she like eats the girl's skin, right? Now I need skin. Right. There's like 10 buxom young ladies, like just husk of them hanging up there. So my theory with the whole movie is that Dr. Chenard is just this small dick energy, like fucking freaky boy. And so he's probably just calls like his like, handler, and he's like, Madam, send the squad. Daddy needs his rocks off. And he probably just has all of these fucking call girls on speed dial. They send the whole gang, and then they fucking... that's like a fucking overnight turnaround to get like 15 prostitutes.
I think I assumed something far more nefarious, which is that he's this kind of guy who just brings in like the patients in the hospital. I'm assuming he's like, she's beautiful. Like, he's probably like a real creep in that regard. So his thing is, as long as I have hot patients, I can deal with all this, and then I can torture these poor bastards below.
Yeah, transporting 10 to 15 people who are extremely not well, probably way harder than being like, hey, send the, daddy's going to buy a yacht party over. You know what I mean? I think he probably just like has these hookers on speed dial all the time.
So you're thinking he just like cleared out an entire
I think
brothel.
He calls up pros, right? Because I think he's probably one of these guys he's hard to be in a relationship with. I think the reason he's always looking for ultimate pleasure is because he's not fulfilled in his own body, whatever.
So you think he called Bordello of Blood and was like, bring them all? Is that what's going on?
Another good crossover universe for Hellraiser. No, I think he just calls like a normal bordello. I don't know how the system works, but I was like, dude, he had those motherfuckers there within like 4 hours. Then he's got to chain them up. She's got to drink them, right? Sure. She's got to regrow some fucking skin, put on a new evening gown.
Right.
This is a lot of work. It takes
time.
Work.
It takes time.
Yeah, and they did that shit fast.
I'd say he's probably emptying out a brothel or a sorority, maybe.
No, this reeked of like, it's Dr. Chenard again. Put on your extra padded pants. It's Dr. Chenard.
Right. This is like Patrick Bateman. Like, this is like, we all know this guy's problem.
Great, a Chenard party. Awesome.
Yeah.
We can hear him talk about exploring while he humps us for 10 seconds and cries in the corner. No. I think that guy has him on speed dial. But this leads to one of my other favorite scenes where Kyle, like, sneaks into the room full of dead, probably pros, and just goes, yes, it is awful. And, like, just nothing. He's giving so little to the universe that Julia just fucking does the old, reverse roadhouse and punches her hand in the back of his head and just drinks him.
Yep.
And it's just like, come on. Come
like,
on,
it's too,
Kyle.
It's so, you're just like, Kyle, come on, man. You're better than this. I actually, okay, I want to shift over to, so, like, Canard, however you want to say it, I don't even know at this point. He gets brought in, he's either in the puzzle box realm, and he ends up, she, like, delivers him to become a Cenobite, basically.
Yeah.
What is his Cenobite name? Because, like, I was, like, thinking Piano Man because of the piano wire.
No.
He's
Dr. Dickhead, PhD. Like,
got it.
1,000. Everything about him, and this goes back to my hooker theory, too, is this guy is just presenting small dick energy.
Yeah.
His head is essentially the tip of a giant phallus.
His head's the tip of a giant penis, yeah.
From his hand, he makes more tiny, phallic monsters.
Like really long little schlong penises.
Yeah. Everything about him. All right, let's just do this now.
Yeah.
Dr. Chenard is, demonic dickhead PhD, is one of the all-time biggest missteps in a horror movie that I love.
Okay.
The character looks like shit. The idea of the character is shit, right? He just floats around attached to a dick. Like, he's like Spider-Man when he's in the suburbs, and it's like, what's he attaching webs to? Like, how long is that fucking dick? Why do you need Dr. Dickhead if you can just reach a phallus out that long? He sucks so out loud, right? He comes into the room, and he's like, the doctor's in. He just essentially is doing Arnold as Mr. Freeze lines. The doctor says it's time to take the pills. The pills are pain. And then as he does it, he just goes, oh, and he does this weird, like, opera voice. It sucks. I mean, the claymation is fun sometimes, right? Like when the finger comes out. Some of that shit is cool. The character design is fucking trash.
I'll tell you
it's so bad.
Yeah, the character design's not my favorite. I liked seeing the, like, I was curious why Julia wouldn't want to be a Cenobite. That was interesting to me.
Okay, we'll kind of take this a step at a time, right? Dr. Chenard is the Julia of this movie, right?
Sure.
The explorer who knows there's something more and is kind of dragged into it by someone else and kind of slowly peels back their inner monster. I like that section of the film. Him is the new fucking Michael Scott of the Labyrinth. Fucking sucks. And I'll give my number one example, right? He comes in and there's all these, people in the beds doing puzzle boxes. It's a cool scene.
Yeah.
Right? They got little hooks in him. He comes in and just starts, like, having at him and, doing his fucking bravado. I don't know. He's like, all of a sudden he just busts into Carmen as he's shooting dicks at people.
Yeah. It's
very
specific.
That's weird. Kirsty walks out of the room with him and walks right into the fucking chain room with Pinhead and the Cenobites. And you're like, you just gave me photographic evidence within 1 second. One room sucks and has terrible, corny catchphrases. The other room is fucking awesome. The other room gave us the greatest VHS cover of all time that made us want to do this fucking ride. And then the doctor, when he, like, fucking floats in, right? He looks like a fucking, like that old cartoon Gummy Bears where they drink the liquid and, like, bounce.
Yeah, they're bouncing around.
Yeah, it looks like a fucking overstuffed teddy in a claw game at, like, a fucking Chuck E. Cheese. He walks in, and he's just like, fight. And it's like, ugh. And now the other Cenobites are scared, and they just get fucking waxed like it's Alien versus Predator. It's such a bad choice. I mean, this is the thing. It leads to one of my favorite shots, right? Which is, we see that the Chatterface guy.
Yeah.
That was actually a little boy. So you're like, what kind of fricky-ass Jeffrey Dahmer deviant was this little boy? That he's out there like, I've already peeled the nipples off of 15 puppies, and now I found this box, and oh god, no! Right? Like,
yeah, I mean,
that shot was worth it, but do you agree with me? I think if they had not done Dr. Chenard as a fucking dick face, and they had just let Julia be, I am the new fucking fairy tale, I'm the evil queen of this realm. and just let it be Julia, I think this movie overtakes Hellraiser. I think it's a better movie if you take out this fucking nonsense monster at the end.
Yeah. I mean, like, I fully agree. I think thematically it's just sort of like you're just tacking on like, oh, cool, effects stuff. You're like, yeah, great, bye. You know, pay the effects team, you know?
That's the other thing. If you want to do that, the fight has to be cooler than that.
Yeah, the fight's not good. I think the main issue I came up with was I really like how it ends between Kirsty and the mute girl and Julia, where like she gets fucking that skin suit, just like that was a cool effect. I was like, oh, fun, that's awesome.
And then blow up doll Julia fucking floats down. That's 100% like a fucking $20 blow.
100% just like they literally just like covered a mannequin in goop and like
throw it. You're not even gonna put hands and feet on that fucking blow up doll before you blow it down. But
now
that's cool.
Let
me roll this into something else I want your opinion on, because you actually talked about this up top. Walk me through what you like about revealing Pinhead's humanity, right? The backstory of the Cenobites were once human, and Kirsty trying to leverage that against them. What about that worked for you? Because I've never been fully sold on this bit.
I think because it's... Because, look, originally, it took me a while to get there. Again, watching the first one, watching the second one, watching the third one and the fourth one. But I thought more about it. Because at first I was like, I'm like, why do I care that this was a real guy? That's just kind of stupid. But I think the deeper it got, the reason I really liked it was because when you not necessarily give a character like that humanity, but like you give Pinhead and all the Cenobites a reason to be. Because to me, when they're just those like those anti-life, antithetical beings to like whatever true whatever happiness is, even though it is pleasure that they're seeking, so to speak. When you have something like that, it's omnipotent. Like there's no way you're like, all you're doing is literally like, when you're making a movie about this kind of thing, and it's literally a puzzle box that unlocks the door to this place. If you just have these omnipotent characters who have absolutely no flaws whatsoever, other than just like, man, we really wanted to bang out a lot, and we're now doing nipple clamps.
God, just even orgies weren't enough for us, man. We had to go the extra mile.
So once you start adding this other element of like, oh, the fatal flaw is that they're human. Like, that's what makes them less powerful, is being human. Like, humans are the most frail beings in the universe. So for us, like, to just be these like horrible meat sacks, and then for the people who are literally not governing, but like opening us up to this form of this a variety of torturous delights.
Yeah.
That is what I think gives you the runway to do more sequels. Because like if they hadn't done it, think about this. If they hadn't done this, who the fuck needs to see another one of these? Like, because then it's just the same thing over and over again. No,
I
but
mean, I think like Friday the 13th is too, for the most. I think.
Sure, Friday the 13th, same thing. But like, I also don't love watching all the Friday the 13th movies, because I get it after after 3.
Again, I think it's an interesting thing to explore. I think what it does